Well, what a great day it is. Exciting, very excited to share with you a few things, just a few things that your father may have forgotten to tell you about men. Men are something else in a good way. Women are something else in a good way. And it's just good to know the differences between perhaps what you may have been thinking and maybe from a different perspective, some thoughts that you may want to consider. And that's what I'm here to bring you. You know that our mission in this context is very simple. What we want to do here is help people love and live their life's most meaningful mission. And that will include relationships for those who are already married, as well as preparing those who want to be married. Today, I'm focusing on really both. But if you're not married, please pay attention to some of the indicators that you want to know about when you think about the man that you want to say, I do to. So, we're going to talk today about the use of power. Yeah, use your power. Girl power, right? I'm not going to so much deal with girl power as I'm going to deal with man's real. You can call it girl power. There's guy power too in the end. But I'm going to focus really on one major thing here, and that is the power of forgiveness. So I want you to think about this now. There are people who walk around fully frustrated and upset for a lifetime. And many times they die not even knowing that what contributed to their death is the lack of forgiveness. See, we got to forgive people. You got to let them go. And I'm going to help you with that when it comes down to how this looks. So we're going to talk today about how forgiveness works, why forgiveness works, and what forgiveness works. What does forgiveness work? What does it do? Well, it does some very amazing things, and I'm going to help show you those things today. So check this out as we get our picture and all that adjusted, because this is a part of a series, of a package. This is free. You're going to get to enjoy this. We're going to make available a lot more details and give you some more bonus resources in sections to come. But for right now, let's talk about how this works. I want you to imagine that there is a rope. And if you've ever seen the classic tug of war, you have a group on one side and a group on the other side. And their goal is to move this little red flag in their direction. Well, the goal over here is to move that little red flag in that direction. What's the point? You want to win the tug of war. You're exhausted. Your team is exhausted unless you got lightweights over there. I want you to think about it in these terms. Whatever you're trying to let go of, or whatever you are holding on to, better way to put it, there's a flag that is determining whether you're winning in your desire to hold on, or if the issue is winning that's trying to pull you into the pit. Please know there is no in between. There is no in between. I'm trying to tell you something that perhaps your father forgot to tell you about men. And this is that thing. Lady, my dear friend, you have got to start letting it go. Or if you are not careful, you will pull your past into the pit and the man's going to see it. And when a guy has to deal with other people that aren't even a part of his deal, his cognitive mind and logistics inside of his thinking is going to quickly be like, why are we dealing with that? I don't have anything to do with that. If you have not learned to forgive, this is a weird thing. You will pull what's in front of you because you keep dealing with today, but it's in the past. So the past has switched positions, and you'll pull that right into the pit, or it will pull you into the pit. Now, let's talk about this process of how forgiveness works. When you forgive somebody, you don't lose, you win. Well, you don't know what they did. I don't know what they did. I'm not negating the strength of what it means to you. I am just talking to you about tomorrow, maybe even about today, maybe about 20 years from now. Forgiveness is necessary. Again, the question is, how does forgiveness work? Well, it works like that rope, but I want to add another dimension to it. In that, let's just say you decide for some reason to let go. You're going to let go of the rope. You're not going to have tension in life anymore over this tug of war, because forgiveness, how it works is you let it go. Guess what happens when that occurs? Relief occurs, because the tension, the pressure, the gone. You know where it is until you do let it go? It's inside of you. Because you have such a great memory, ladies. The power of your memory, you can recall, you can recant, you can come up with things. You're very, very quick. Because you have this capacity in the power of your memory, I want you to start using your power to forgive. Because when you forgive, you have a tendency to be a lot lighter, a lot less cranky, a lot less frustrated. Because if you take all the fine print of the pages of your life, and they all have red marks in them and red letters in them because of issues that you have not forgotten, you're gonna attract either a man that is tired of that in you, or you won't attract him at all. And the reason why is because your conversation is about stuff that's negative. Now listen, you can hide it for a minute, but in the end, if it's still inside of you, the reality of your actions are going to catch up with the reality of your existence. So let's take a look here again at this pressure is relieved. I don't know if you've ever seen it, where when the winning team finally pulls the red flag, the rope, onto their side, and you see the people who just won fall back. They fall back because they finally gotten the flag to their side. They also win because the other team loses the strength and they just simply let go. Please know this about using your power, because if your father didn't tell you this, if he forgot to tell you this about men, men don't usually hold on to things. They forget it, move on to the next play. They have to. They're taught that. We are taught that in different activities, sports mainly. But ladies, y'all are kind of taught to not do it. We ain't talking about what your mama taught you. She taught you some great things too. But I'm talking about a few things your father may have forgotten to tell you about men. Men don't do stress well, in the sense of rehearsing something that they can't do anything about, but they keep hearing you talk about it. And the more you talk about it, I'm not talking to married couples. I'm talking about before you get married, ladies. I'm trying to get you to release so you can walk in peace, so you can attract a man at the level of both of your desired existence. In other words, you don't want to attract somebody that's way lower than you, and all you do is help them the rest of your married life, and it's a marriage of intercession the whole time. That's not what I'm referencing. I'm saying that until you get it out of you, you can't even see him, because you're too low to see, or he's too high for you to be in contention, because you keep bringing nonsense, things that don't matter, things you need to let go of. And it might not be nonsense in the sense that whatever went on was bad and rough and difficult. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you have power that you should be using. And forgiveness works. The way it works is when you let it go, you know. When you let it go, he will know. Because your countenance will change. You weren't designed as a queen to walk around unforgiving, or in unforgiveness, walking around with everybody is guilty and you have no kingdom. Everybody is eliminated. You're knocking them all out, like Martin Lawrence, one by one. Well, you can't live like that and not at some point have a reset where you begin to think. Usually it's when you get older and you start thinking about the crazy stuff that went on when you were trying to get people back. And if you never come to that epiphany, if you will, or to that revelation, there's still something wrong with you. And I'll tell you what, unforgiveness, if allowed for extended periods of time, show up in the body. And I could go example after example after example when this occurs. You, my friend, the goal for you is to learn to use your power. So if you're trying to get that man, and you got all that lipstick on, you looking so good, that dress or whatever it is, you are good to go. But if the inside is uglier than the outside, you are not good to go. And your father may have forgotten to tell you that men can see too. I know y'all pick things up real fast. I'm talking to ladies now. Y'all pick things up real fast. Y'all scan each other. Nope, should have worn that. Should have worn this. Why in the world are you wearing that? Yeah, y'all pick that stuff up quick. I know you do. A guy might not look at all that. He's just looking at how pretty you are. Your face is pretty. Your shape, if that's what he's looking at, and your hands, whatever, your eyes. He's looking at you. But if deep beyond the entry to your soul is a pile of trash because you have not emptied it, I am telling you now, in a minute, he's going to know what's in it because the fragrance, the smell of it, as you talk about it, begins to turn him off. There will be no date number 2. Just trying to tell you a few things to use your power so that you can attract the kind of man that you should be attracting. Okay, so here's number 2 on this 3-point point here, which is why does forgiveness even work? Why don't you just go on about your business? You do your thing, I do my thing, we do our thing, everybody's doing their own thing, everybody's cool. What's up with this idea that I got to forgive somebody? Well, I'll tell you what it is. Imagine that you now have a gun and you're holding the gun on the person who's in the ditch. And this is a picture of unforgiveness. So we're talking about, why does this work? Well, look at it like this. If you are holding over a person something that they've done, and the only way for that to work is for you to be where you are in proximity to them, because you want to make sure they don't get away. They don't get to live an enjoyable life because you're going to make sure with the gun, oops, you don't get to live either. What do you mean? Well, you can't move as long as you're holding this over them, because you got to stay right there. They're here, you're here, life is here. You can't even go use the bathroom because you got to make sure that I'm trying to tell you now why forgiveness is a good thing and why it works. See, you can't live your life with a gun pointed at somebody else until you put the gun up and leave. You can't even get a coffee break. And I know a bunch of y'all love Starbucks and Dunkin' and Caribou and wherever else you may be living. You love the coffee too, but you can't go nowhere and get a coffee break as long as you are holding the gun, the proverbial gun, over somebody's head. Until you put the gun up and leave, it is only then that you can enjoy your life. See, that's why forgiveness works, because forgiveness, which is a power you want to use, you want to have that resident inside of you so that that man can see this lady don't have a bunch of baggage. But if you always gun-toting somebody, and every time something doesn't go right, somebody says something against you, about you, you fly off the handle. You can't take it. Your character ain't strong enough to oppose what other people's words are. It can't even handle it. There is no shield of faith, of confidence, nothing but fight back. It's an issue of a deeper need. We're not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about why forgiveness works. Well, the rope that connected you before, the gun example now, until you put it up, till you let it go, forgiveness works like that. When you let it go, forgiveness works. That's why it works, because it is designed after the character of the picture. In the Aramaic language that Jesus taught or spoke, it was the word shaw. That's how it sounded, shaw. It was the activity of cutting. Third example. The cutting of the rope breaks the tension of the rope. Without the cutting of the rope, the removing of the gun, the letting go of the rope, we have tension. So why does it work? Because the laws of sowing and reaping apply here. What? Yeah, the laws of sowing and reaping apply here. Whatever you sow, that's what you're also going to reap. And your father may have forgotten to tell you, some of the reaping doesn't come from the person that you sowed towards. So you are still sowing angst and frustration and bitterness and all types of negative things that you don't want to reap. And now when you try to text Buddy, Buddy ain't even responding. You have no idea that you are reaping potentially from what you sowed in not forgiving them. Now he's not forgiving you. And you never thought that that BMW driving six-figure man would treat you like that, and probably have not connected the dots because your father forgot to tell you a few things about men. Now he may not know either that that you're reaping, or he's not even trying to make you reap. All he sees is something he don't like. I don't like that. I remember back in the day, been married 38 years, same woman, love her, and she loves me. Glory to the name of the King who put us together. And the Queen who put us together, Deborah Moore. Absolutely. WCLK's finest. Jazz sensation, Deb Moore. She put us together in college. And she's like, I see two people who just don't know that they can work. She don't know him, he don't know her. And because I worked in radio at the time, she knew me, she knew Kimberly because she lived in the same dorm. And one thing led to another. And 38 years later, thank you, Lord. I'm thankful. And I don't mind saying thank you, Lord, my Lord, for putting this thing together. Well, along the way, before we got married, I had some relationships that weren't going to work because I saw some things. And what I saw was essentially what I heard. And what I was hearing was not what I wanted to hear because I didn't want to lead a broken down band. Trombone don't work, don't even have a slider. Tuba, the little parts that make the tuba move, the sounds come up, don't work. The big tuba horn, broken. Drums, no sticks. Drum major, you don't even have a hat. I didn't want to lead a band like that. Now, I didn't know the level of some things that I had learned along the way, but I know this. If you are a one-woman band of brokenness where all you talk about is what somebody did to you, your father may not have told you. Most men don't want to lead that. I'm not talking about you. They don't want to lead that because they can't take drama very well. Most men just want to be at peace, enjoy you, enjoy the children, have some fun, do some things, build whatever the kind of man, king is that you are marrying or have married or want to marry. But drama, guys don't do that because it's too much detail. I'm not saying guys aren't detailed, but guys and detail go towards business, towards a plan of something. You all, women, have fine print detail of every sort. Drama, goodness, mercy, haters, all kinds of detail. You got to keep doing something with the detail, and your father may not have told you that. And sometimes when you look at this, again, the laws of sowing and reaping, this whole process is what you sow is what you reap. So you reap what you sow. So if you're lonely, it's possible that you're reaping because you have sown that. And if you keep sowing contention over people and situations, I mean, just think about it. This whole thing is down. This thing is like, man, why are we talking about this? Because until you get it out, it's still in. And if it's in, it's growing, if not already grown. And your father may not have told you that some of the reasons why the best thing walked out of your life, that walks out of your life, is because the life inside of you is telling it to leave. You got to get it out. So let's go to number 3. What does forgiveness do? What does it do? What forgiveness works? What does it do? Well, the first thing I wrote here, and the only thing I wrote, is that it creates space inside of your heart. I don't know if you're a gardener. I don't know if you like flowers in the outdoors. You may not. You may. I kind of do, but on my terms, meaning if it's like super hot and I want to lose weight, then I'll go out and do it, right? Otherwise, if my wife wants me, then I'll do it because my wife wants to. Generally, though, I'm doing something like this. And so I don't make a lot of time for that, but I do make time for that. I know this about that. In gardening, you have to have several components. You got to have the soil, you got to have the seed, and you have to have water, and you have to have sun. You can't supply the sun, but you can supply temporarily the water. Better when it comes from the cloud because of the minerals inside of it and its mixture in the ground. They have a relationship. And so those seeds will then begin to grow. I have discovered, and I'm sure you have too, that I haven't met a person yet to go and buy weed seeds. They don't exist. The reason why they don't buy weed seeds is because they grow without your help. And you don't want them anyway. Weeds are wild. They get on your nerves. They mess up the look of a beautiful lawn or what you're trying to grow in terms of your flower beds or in your garden. So weeds come with the territory. I call it a part of the fall. It's a later conversation. But because we're in an antagonistic world, even the atmosphere produces after its kind. And because the world is fallen, the idea of weeds is normal, even though they didn't come with your direction. Meaning, you didn't say, I'm planting some weeds. You didn't pray for weeds. You didn't ask your friend to bring weeds from his or her yard. The weeds are there. We're talking about how or what. What does forgiveness work? What does it produce? What does it do for you? Well, it literally produces a gardening effect where there's space. I remember the time when we were working on some weeds and it was crazy because it's like, these weeds here. And I would take, of all things, a screwdriver and dig down because I could get, my thought was to the bottom of it, get to the root of those weeds quicker. And I would always find that there was a rock. Something, I would hear it. I would hear it. It was always a rock where the weed root was. And I don't know if that's a phenomenon or anything or not, but I knew that once I heard the rock, then I could pull the weed and not break it so that I could get all of it out. You know what that did? It made space. It made space. See, it cleared out room. Yeah, it cleared out room for what I really wanted there, which was grass. What do you really want in your life? Let's just say the proverbial grass gives way to the proverbial plant. The definition of the word grass is common. The definition of the word tree is superior, or that which is higher, illuminated. I'm looking for a better word than that. But it essentially is that it's prominence. There it is. A tree is prominent compared to the commonness of grass because grass goes as a carpet, but trees are prominent because they are above grass, as are flowers and other types of plants. What you want in your life is a combination of both. Your father may have forgotten to tell you that if you got a bunch of weeds, it's difficult for plants to grow. Your father may have forgotten to tell you that if you have a bunch of weeds where you should otherwise have the commonness, common courtesy, common decency, the fragrance of grace and love coming from you. If he forgot to tell you that, then there might be weeds there, and anything you plant is going to have to compete. And if things have to compete for wind or rain and the sunlight and even the nutrients, then it hinders the growth. It makes it more difficult. And there's now a higher risk that it might not grow at all. And so the prominence that you want in your marriage, in your dating life, leading to marriage, in your life, is strained because of the soil where all these weeds have been planted. So just in case you don't know, or you do know that you have a bunch of weeds in the garden of your heart, you got to make space. That's what forgiveness works. Forgiveness is like a rake where you move things around on the soil until you get what you want. You got to move things around, not people around. And please, please, please understand, I am not making light of any trauma and stress that you've been through. I am not. I'm just trying to get you from this point. I don't know what went on back then, but if you want to keep living beyond that to this, to your next, you got to walk in forgiveness, my sister, my friend. You have got to accept that forgiveness works to fulfill space. And you need some space. You may need some time away from people, from men. You may be needing some time from the divorce you just went through. You may need some time from the pain. You got to let your heart, the soil, it's got to settle. It's got to settle. But if you find that there are weeds there, you got to garden and make more space. Because if you don't, you'll grow more weeds. And if you keep growing bitter on the outside, it's only a matter of time before the inside creates bitter everywhere. And that's not what we want for you. Now, your father may not have told you that. He may have forgotten to tell you. that the reason why some guys are never a contender for your hand is because weeds might be the abundance of what's in your heart. And if that is the case, you can do that. Well, how do you do it? How do you do it? You got to say it. And then you got to replay it. You got to say it and replay it. Well, what do you mean? You got to say, I forgive Bill. I forgive my mother, my father, my sister, my brother, my friend, my den leader, my Cub Scout leader, my whatever, or Brownie leader, high school coach. I forgive her. I forgive her. I forgive him from the depths of my heart. I mean, deep, 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 deep down. If I've said anything about them in the past, I recant that. I repent. I don't want to be that way anymore. I changed the way I think. The word repent. I changed the way I think from here on. Now, when you do that, and you do that from your heart, and nobody needs to be around, and you need to tell anybody, you know what I did. You can if you want to, but that's not the point. The bigger point is that you did it. You'll know you're free by the way your temperature, blood pressure, rises or falls in the future when you hear that person's name. When you're free from them, when you have used your power, then you won't be frustrated by the sound of their name or even by their face. Now, this may take a long time. I don't know. It may take a short time. I don't know. Only you know. You and your creator. But I can tell you this. Get to the point where you make the point of using forgiveness, because it's a power that gets the weeds out of your life. This, my friend, will begin to cause flowers to bloom and the fragrance to be sniffed. And somebody's going to notice you for way more than what you look like. They'll hear the sound of peace and they will want to lead that, bless that. They will hear the sound of the feminine nature of your strength. A woman who has come through, a young lady who has come to. And when you put these things together, you'll be using your power. I hope this helped you. Now listen, a couple of things that can help you further. If you are still in the dating game and you're looking for that guy, one way to engage in conversation with him is to get him to take this brief survey. It takes about 7 or 8 minutes to do so, but it is gold. It is gold, because it will help him to see whether he is prepared to qualify for your hand. It will help you to see whether or not he's still interested. Because if he is interested, then he's interested in growth. That's the kind of man you want to attract, a man that's interested in growth. You can go to calvintibbs.com, and it's called the Man Made for Marriage Survey. Just scroll to the bottom, click on that button, and get the man to pay for it. Don't you take the test or the survey, get him to take the survey. And then he'll do it because it's you and you're all cute and stuff, and he wants to be with you. So this is way better than buying you roses, I promise you, because if you know what's in his heart and he knows what's in yours and y'all can talk this thing through, you'll know whether you have a match or not. Meanwhile, if you know that he is not the guy based on his responses, then why try to change him? It won't work. It will only grow weeds. So this is a great resource for him as well as for you. And I'd love for you to go to calvintibbs.com and pick up or take the Man Made for Marriage survey. And then finally, I want to encourage you to join the free Facebook group. It's where all types of people gather in the relationship world. I am the relationship doctor, as you see all around there, but more than the visuals, the reality is this is a part of what I'm born for. Again, to help people live and love their life's most meaningful relationships or mission. And marriage is a mission. Having children is a mission. And you can go on through into career and your spiritual life and your walk as it relates to community and in humanity. We take care of all of those things at calvintibbs.com. And again, free strategy sessions are available. But for right now, the Relationship Doctor is a great place for you to go and join in with some other people. I hope this helped you. I hope you're going to use your power and tell your girlfriends and them to use theirs too. Send this video to them. It's going to help them and bless them. And we'll see you the next time we get together on a few things that your father might have forgotten to tell you about men. Bye.